This WBTV high-definition program is sponsored by Honda Dealers of the Carolinas. WBTV News at 11 starts right now.
New tonight, exclusive access with CMPD officers as they bust what they call a chop shop in a Charlotte backyard.
I guess, is that the original seat?
And we've uncovered the #1 vehicle police say these criminals are targeting.
But first at 11 o'clock, a new flood danger tonight. At any minute, Duke Energy could make the call to open dams on swollen reservoirs, sending millions of gallons of water towards these homes. Good evening and welcome. I'm Paul Kemp.
And I'm Molly Grantham. Thanks for being here.
We know several lakes in the viewing area are at or above full pond right now. Water spilling over the dams at Lake James, Lookout Shoals Lake, and Mountain Island Lake. And the flood warnings now extend down to South Carolina. This is the Congaree National Park, southeast of Columbia. Water covers picnic areas and trails. Duke is warning people who live near Lake Waterloo to be on alert. Our team of reporters and meteorologists staying on top of this story because the risk has not passed.
Eric Thomas, of course, tracking the latest flood warnings, but we begin with David Spunt, finding out when Duke Energy could release more water. David.
Molly, a spokeswoman with Duke Energy tells me these decisions can be made and they can change literally within minutes. It's all about equalizing pressure, like where I am on Mountain Island Lake. But some residents that I spoke with, they say Duke Energy as a company is not holding up its end of the bargain.
This is a beautiful part of Charlotte.
But returning back to normal is taking much longer than some residents would like. For days, front yards have become ponds. Backyards are almost completely covered by the swollen river.
My daughter wisely turned around and says, "No, we're not going to die, boys," to our brothers. The house is going to die. The house is dying. And I was like, wow, that's traumatic for little people that their house is dying. So.
Meet Ruth, whose dream home of almost 20 years now looks like this. Power is still out, and she says neighbors are still waiting on information from the company that manages water levels, Duke Energy.
We're waiting for calls from them on our landlines and our cell phones to update us and keep us informed, and we didn't get the calls. When we checked with neighbors so that they could inform us, they didn't get the calls.
We took Ruth's concerns directly to Duke Energy. Spokeswoman Lisa Hoffman says she sympathizes with homeowners.
We began communicating late last week as soon as we saw that this rainfall was in the prediction.
Hoffman says Duke's plan to open spillways will actually benefit people like Ruth in the long run.
It needs to pass through in order for us to restore lakes to target levels and prepare for future rainfall.
But even a few drops of rain makes Ruth nervous as she continues to see this when she opens her back door.
It's a good thing I'm a persevering person.
I spoke with several other neighbors off camera who have the same concerns as Ruth. Lisa Hoffman with Duke Energy, she says one of the biggest concerns of the company is to keep people away from the rivers and lakes because of all the debris that is moving quickly downstream. We are live at Mountain Island Lake. David Spunt, WBTV on your side.
Some big frustrations there, David. Thank you.
Well, flood victims in Catawba County tell us the high water will not drive them from their homes.
We just take the bad with the good.
Take the bad with the good, that's right.
But we love our neighbors and our good friends, and we all help each other, so that's what it's all about.
The water receded at Carpenter's Cove today, and many got their first look at the damage. Some homeowners tell us they don't have flood insurance because it is just too expensive. Eric Thomas over in the First Alert Weather Center tonight.
So, Eric, where are the flood warnings right now?
Well, they're still right along the Catawba River, Molly, all the way from up around Lake James, all the way down to Columbia, where you saw some of those reports. So it is amazing how the entire river has been affected, or certainly a lot of the entire river. But right now, on our dual-pole power Doppler network, you'll see that we have this little spoke, this boundary that's been coming through this evening. Hasn't kicked up too much, and so we're thankful for that. But there again, you see that flood advisory that I was just telling Molly about along the river itself. But this shower did cross that flood-prone area, but now moving into 601 in Union County around Alton. So that's really about the only game in town right now. Once again, you'll see to the north, that's the system that we've been dealing with. But coming later in the forecast, another pretty vigorous front. It's all part of your 7-day First Alert. Stay tuned.
Eric, thank you. Breaking news from North Charlotte. North Tryon Street shut down right now. Officers are using police dogs and the CMPD helicopter to canvass a neighborhood near Ashby Street. They're searching for a man who stabbed another in the throat during a robbery. He is in the hospital with serious injuries. We'll, of course, stay on this and let you know what happens.
Just in at 11 o'clock, brand new video showing one of the men wanted in a 4-county crime spree, which began in Charlotte. This surveillance video of the guy who is still out there somewhere tonight. We don't know his name. It is difficult to see his face in these pictures, but this is video from a convenience store where he used an ATM machine. Police say he and this guy, Jarvis Marsh, are responsible for a home invasion in the University area and a home invasion and carjacking in Midland. Investigators say the two then went to Stanley County, where they stole a detective's SUV and led officers on a chase into Anson County. That ended here when the SUV crashed. You can see the bullet holes in the windshield. They arrested Marsh, then spent the afternoon searching the woods and fields with shotguns looking for the second guy. Here's another look at that surveillance. If you recognize him, please call investigators tonight. The Stanley County Sheriff's number is 704-986-3714, and you can call Cabarrus County Sheriff as well at 704-920-3057.
New at 11 o'clock, a mother and her baby escaped from a minivan moments before it burst into flames. We got a look inside the charred remains of the interior as it sat in a parking lot off Freedom Drive. Just minutes before we got there, a child was strapped into that seat. Men working nearby noticed smoke, alerted the mother, and helped avoid a real tragedy.
Man, this thing was bursting with flames. The doors was wide open, and it was just smoke everywhere.
Yeah, but nobody hurt, thank goodness. Firefighters have not told us how this fire started.
Exclusive video showing cut-up car parts strewn across a backyard, and the man police say is responsible in the backseat right here in the patrol car. CMPD invited us along as they busted this so-called chop shop. It's all new for you at 11. A hood, a hubcap, a door, and the car itself, or what's left of it. Would you recognize this Honda if it was yours? What about from this angle? Eric Carcamo barely did. He'd had the car 3 years before it was stolen 2 weeks ago.
There was new paint. I had new paint February.
Eric says his car was taken when he left town for a day with a buddy. Police charged this guy, 20-year-old Jonathan Cortez. We caught him sitting in the back of the patrol car. Eric says Jonathan lives in his neighborhood.
The suspension was new, the rims were new, the interior was new.
Nothing looks new now. This is exclusive video of what police found when they got a tip about some funny business in the backyard of a home on Dwight Ware Boulevard off Albemarle Road.
As you can see, it's chopped up, the wheels off it, doors and everything.
Sergeant Rich Tonsberg says this is your typical Charlotte chop shop. Nothing fancy, just a stolen car hidden in a backyard or garage and chopped up for its parts.
They could be sold, they could be taken for scrap metal.
In this case, the engine is missing. Tonsberg says it might have already been sold.
There's no telling.
Sergeant Tonsberg then took us back to headquarters and let us in on something not usually shown. The evidence room of impounded parts. Pieces of cars bagged up. Fenders, more fenders, seats, and this engine hoist, which police call obvious evidence of wrongdoing.
When you see a car in the backyard that has been literally sawed in half, that's usually not, that's not somebody that works on cars.
So if you see something odd in a neighbor's backyard, or lots of cars coming every few days from one home, call police. It can be anonymous. People like Eric will appreciate the help in tracking down their stolen vehicle.
I seen it up close in person, and it's destroyed.
Completely destroyed. I want to show you a closer look at the guy police say stole that Honda Accord. Jonathan Cortez is charged with possession of a stolen vehicle under the chop shop law. That is an added felony law in North Carolina. Police also tell me Honda Accords had been the main car they'd been seeing stolen the past few weeks, but since Cortez has been locked up, that number's dropped off considerably. One person can make a difference. If you see any fishy business, call Crime Stoppers. Numbers on your screen, 704-334-1600. You can be anonymous. Paul.
Molly, for the first time tonight, we're seeing video of the man police say kidnapped and held captive these three women in a Cleveland, Ohio neighborhood.
Why are you covering your face?
Prosecutors charged Ariel Castro with kidnapping and rape today in the case of Amanda Berry, Gina DeJesus, and Michelle Knight. And new information is breaking on this investigation right now. Officials say inside this house, the women were bound with ropes and chains, subjected to prolonged abuse, and suffered multiple miscarriages. Late tonight, investigators say Castro's two brothers will not be charged. They do not believe those men were involved. And now we're hearing from Amanda Berry's grandmother, who cannot wait to be reunited with the young woman she feared that she'd never see again.
When I saw that she was alive and I talked to her, and I know it's her and her voice, and she sounds just like she always did. So I was so thankful.
And what relief. Investigators said Monday was the first time in nearly 10 years of captivity the women had a chance to escape. They believe they were only allowed to go outside twice during that entire time. Molly?
New at 11 o'clock, Jodi Arias says that she wants the death penalty after a jury convicted her of killing her ex-boyfriend.
First-degree murder, guilty. 5 jurors.
That verdict handed down just 6 hours ago, and since then Arias has told a TV station in Phoenix, Arizona, she would rather be put to death than spend life behind bars. Attorneys for the man accused of buying, raping, and killing this beautiful 5-year-old girl are asking for a mistrial. Mario McNeil is accused of murdering Shania Davis back in 2009. His lawyers say prosecutors introduced irrelevant evidence. The judge denied the mistrial but did issue a warning to prosecutors.
Next at 11, a classic car in need of a paint job. The man who owns it is blind. So when he says he got ripped off, the WBTV problem solvers got involved. You're watching WBTV, the #1 choice for news at 11. We're back right after this.
WBTV